Hey guys, you probably heard of the story by now about how this British pianist, Brendan Kavanagh, being attacked by some pro-CCP Chinese people in a London train station, all because this Chinese group didn't want their faces shown on his live stream. What you probably didn't know is how happy they were with the pianist just moments before the argument started. This Chinese female host not only came to shake the pianist's hand, but also invited her friend to play at the piano, and they had a very nice interaction. Even the guy that shouted at Brendan later was seen smiling in the background watching the exchange, while all of this was being filmed on camera by Brendan's assistant. So what happened? Why did they turn so hostile toward the pianist moments later? This might seem hard to understand, but not for me because I grew up in communist China. I know exactly what's happening in these pro-CCP Chinese people's mind. So let me break it down for you. There are two videos on Brendan's channel. One is the main live stream that lasted around 37 minutes, which most people have seen. But the other one is apparently shot before the conflict happened. Let's take a look at this first video. In this video, Brendan was first playing with his friend, Jim. And after they played the song, Brendan asked Jim to explain why he's here today.
Jim is the production manager for a Japanese TV crew who are actually here in St. Pancras.
No, we're making another program about the public piano, but this time we're
For Japan,
yeah.
Jim explained that they're expecting a Japanese TV crew to show up. They're waiting for the Japanese host. But when Brendan looked over and saw the Chinese TV crew that's just arriving, he mistook them for the Japanese TV crew that they were expecting.
Hello, are you from Japan?
No, I'm from China.
Is she part of your crew?
No.
I thought she was part of your...
At this point, you can see the Chinese crew had no prop yet. They don't have the flags they're waving. They just arrived. This woman in red, her name is Adelina, who is a frequent MC for all sorts of pro-CCP events in UK, and apparently also an active socialite among politicians in UK. She's very comfortable with camera exposure, and she happily obliged, came over, and even invited her pianist friend to play at the piano. If you look closely, you can see this guy wearing a bright orange scarf. His name is Newton Long. He's the one that's going to attack Brendan later. But at this point, you can see him passing by, smiling, and came back 30 seconds later while observing what's happening between Brendan and Adelina. And they had their fun, and Adelina was even dancing a little bit, if you can call that a dance. And they clapped for each other. And in the end, Brendan wrapped up this video while reminding the audience that there is a Japanese TV crew that's coming. Stay tuned for the next part. So at this point, all is well, both sides are friendly. Brendan and Jim are still waiting for the Japanese TV crew to show up, which, by the way, I saw some Asian guys dropping off tripod and other equipment in the background at 3:15 into the video, and these guys stayed there until the very end, until the end of the live stream 40 minutes later. So I think these are the Japanese TV crews that they're waiting for. Maybe they just didn't come up because their host hasn't arrived yet. Now moving on to the live stream, at 17 seconds in, you can see clearly that the Chinese group has gathered together, and it looks like they're getting ready. They're bringing out Chinese flags and the yellow cue cards. At the minute 50 seconds in, we can see the group reading the yellow cue cards in the background, and apparently the cue cards has something about non-disclosure on it, and I think this might be the time when the group realized, oh, they don't want their faces shown. Although it's very weird for them to choose a public place to film something if they wanted to keep it a secret. At 2 minutes 40 seconds in, we can see Brendan still turning around and confused about the group. I think he still thinks this group is the Japanese TV crew.
We've got Jim here from the Japanese TV crew. There's a load of Japanese people here doing... Can you see them? There's all sorts of stuff. We've got a Japanese TV crew in the station.
Until 6 minutes in, he turned around. Because of their friendly interaction earlier, Brendan invited Adelina to dance.
She goes, hello, can you dance? Can you do a dance? Let's get this girl to dance. Yeah, can you dance? Dance. No, can you dance? No, dance.
Sorry.
This was still a friendly exchange and both parties were still smiling. At 6:10, this woman in gray coat and red scarf, her name is Meng Ying, she approached Jim and started discussing with him. When Jim came back, he didn't get a chance to deliver whatever message the Chinese group was trying to tell him to Brandon because Meng Ying came directly to talk to Brandon.
We're not allowed?
You're not allowed because we're for Chinese TV.
Oh, okay.
This is non-disclosable.
So at this point, it's about the non-disclosure agreement that these Chinese people had with the TV station, and therefore they came to ask Brandon to blur their faces or take the video down. As she was talking with Brandon, we can see at 9:19, the orange scarf guy whose name is Newton, remember his face? He came by again with a happy expression on his face. I think the reason Newton Long came over is probably because he thinks he has authority and he can handle the situation better and faster.
Just don't do it, please. So I'm going to repeat that. All of us, we cannot share our images online. We will put a legal action into it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we will put a legal action
Really?
into it.
For what?
We will.
Legal
I'm
action
sorry,
for-
this is the
but-
end of the conversation. This is our right we're protecting, and that's it.
But what right? I don't understand.
Image right.
But this, we're in public.
See, Brandon is so confused. What right are they protecting? So just to make sure, because, Brandon was very confused about the Japanese TV crew versus the Chinese TV crew, he wanted to make sure this is not the group that he and Jim was waiting for. So he asked,
Are you from China?
That's not a question.
okay, you can see how Newton Long was offended by this question. Which is interesting because if you truly love your country and you're here to film a show for China, why wouldn't you answer a simple question like that and say, I am Chinese, so what? But I think in his subconsciousness, he knew it's not a good thing to be associated with China and be called Chinese for some reason. Why?
But we're in a free country, mate.
That's true.
We're
You
not
are in
in
a free
communist
country.
China now, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is racist now. We have
No, we're not in communist China.
That really triggered him when Brandon said communist China. Of course, this has nothing to do with race, so why was he so offended? I think he knows that communist and communism is a derogatory term in the Western culture. But in China, he was taught by the CCP that China is equivalent to the Chinese Communist Party. In fact, the Communist Party is the savior of China. Without the Communist Party, China cannot be what it is today. And saying anything bad about the party is the same as attacking China and Chinese people and attacking each of us personally. This is what we were taught in school growing up. That's why he's offended and called him a racist. At 12:50, Adelina joined the conversation.
I tell you, I just tell my choice. Yeah, we don't want to show our image.
Okay, well, we've
Yeah.
got to walk away then.
So then, but we want to use this piano. This is a public one.
Yes.
It's a public
It's public,
one.
but
We
use-
can use it as well. Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yes, and anyone can film because in the UK it's a free country
That's
and
your,
anyone
but
can
we
film.
have image right. We have
Not in
image.
public.
They also wanted to use the public piano. Now we understand why they didn't want their faces shown on someone else's live stream, but refused to leave the area, but instead started to demand him to stop filming. And she continued.
We are in Britain, Great Britain. We're not in
I
China.
say I'm also British.
This-
I'm also British. Okay.
thought
I'm
you
also
said you-
British. I'm also British.
She just had to say it 4 times because she has nothing else to say. By the way, the Chinese Communist Party does not allow dual citizenship, which means the moment she obtained her British citizenship means she's not a Chinese citizen anymore according to Chinese law. So even though she claims she's also British, but she's here filming a program for the CCP, she's also waving the Chinese flag and she's using the Chinese law or the Chinese standard on the pianist. So the pianist Brandon was of course not buying it.
Use my
You've
image.
got a Chinese flag there.
It doesn't matter.
Show me the Chinese flag.
Why you're touching her? Stop touching her! Don't touch her, please.
touch the
Do
flag.
not touch her. Please. You are not the same age. Please do not touch her. Are you allowing her to touch you?
no.
Touch the flag.
No.
No. But remind you, just earlier, the same woman, Adelina, was having a very friendly conversation with the pianist and shaking his hand and dancing with him. And all of this was being witnessed by Newton in the background. So what provoked him? Why did he suddenly have an explosion shouted at Brandon? I think there are two reasons. The first reason, according to Meng Ying, which is the girl in the gray coat, she published the video in response to this incident but deleted it soon after. In the video, she said they were trying to defend the Chinese flag. She said, outside of China, even for our little flags, we as Chinese people, we need to take care of it, use it reasonably and with dignity, don't litter the flag, don't damage the flag, and if you see anybody doing those, we must take the initiative to stop it and use your actions to protect the flag. So my guy friend at that time, he was a bit overreacting. Totally seems like an excuse that she came up for Newton's extreme reaction, but I can confirm there's actually some truth behind it. Although the Chinese flag doesn't look the same as the CCP's party flag, it was nonetheless forced on China by the Communist Party. And according to what we taught in school, it has the same red base, and the flags are red because they were supposedly dyed with revolutionists' blood. The big star on the Chinese national flag represents the Chinese Communist Party, and the four little stars are supposed to be the Chinese people surrounding and supporting the CCP. So even though the Chinese national flag doesn't look the same as the CCP's party flag, it can be seen as a representation of the CCP just like the party flag. Growing up in China, we were taught over and over in school about how much we have to respect the flag and how we have to hold the flag in high regards even more than our own lives. And this ideology is not only forced on us by teachers in schools, but it can be seen everywhere, like in films and TVs, in dramas, in books, even advertisement. Look at this propaganda video shot in China. I don't know who these people are, but apparently they're in a war zone and there's heavy gunfight happening. And this Chinese dude found a Chinese flag and heroically raised it up, and then they just ceased fire thanks to the flag. There are also ridiculous TikTok videos that Chinese people made. For example, some thugs were trying to rob this Chinese dude and found his Chinese flag. And he said, "Don't touch it. It's more important than my life. I won't let you touch it even if you step over my dead body." And the thug just said, "Oh, I'm so touched. China is so great. Let them go." Because of brainwashings like this, even 3-year-old would stand in front of each Chinese flag to sing the entire national anthem 7 times. And elementary school kids would just willingly stop in the middle of the road and give a salute during a flag raising ceremony. It's really scary how early children are exposed to propaganda like this. I remember when I was in China, when I was young, I was taught with the same ideology, and I really think Chinese flag is the most sacred thing in the world. Of course, there's nothing wrong with being patriotic to one's own country, but what happened is the CCP deliberately confused the two. They confused China with the Chinese Communist Party. They really want people to love and defend the party as much as the country, if not more. And when these children grow up without access to free information because everything is controlled by the Communist Party, they will grow up to become brainless CCP puppets and do whatever the CCP trained them to do. For example, this young guy in Mount Fuji really think they have conquered Japan and brought glory to China. And these little pinks are exactly the product of years of brainwashing. That could also be the reason why Newton reacted so aggressively when Brandon was trying to touch the Chinese flag. The flag could be part of the reason he's behaving this way, but I think the second reason is Newton felt he needed to bluff. This is a very typical behavior of CCP members who are pro-CCP Chinese supporters. In Newton's case, because he knew he doesn't have the right to demand Brandon to do whatever he wanted him to do, he had to act more tough and aggressive in order to win the fight. This strategy is called 战狼外交, which means wolf warrior diplomacy. This type of diplomacy, which was invented by the CCP and used in recent years, is confrontational and combative even when they're the one in the wrong. That's why Newton here kept repeating, "Don't touch her, don't touch her, don't touch her," to accuse the pianist and to justify his yelling behavior. And this is not it. At 1506, Brandon hammered the third question.
Are you in the Communist Party or something?
And his response was,
Stop judging. Stop judging. Why are you calling us communists? Why?
Because you've got a communist flag
We
in
got
your
the
hand.
flag of any country. Why are you discriminating a different country?
I'm not discriminating.
Why are you discriminating a different country?
Why are you getting excited?
Because you're
getting your knickers
discriminating
in
another country.
How am I discriminating?
Yeah, you're saying
playing
we're
the
communists
race
for
card,
holding
mate.
a flag.
Yeah, because you've got a communist flag in your hand.
This is very funny. Is he not a communist? He's 100% a communist member. Everyone in this group has pro-CCP background. And just like Adelina, Newton and Adelina worked together to host some pro-CCP event before, but he's asking, why are you calling us communist? He knew he's being judged and looked down by being called a communist member, and he took it personally. It's really pathetic and contradictory if you think about it. These people, they're here working for CCP's program, they're waving the Chinese Communist flag, reinforcing Chinese law on foreign ground, and yet they couldn't proudly say, yes, I am a communist member in front of Brendan when asked the question. And instead, he chose to attack him because he felt offended. This just shows how not proud and how little confidence they had in what they believe. These little pinks are very pitiable because they're the victims here too. They kept damaging Chinese people's reputation overseas, and they kept provoking other countries thinking they're doing the right thing, but they didn't know they were manipulated by the CCP. They already live in a free country now. In their case, they live in the UK. I hope they can open up their mind and see the reality soon and eventually make the right choice to stand up against the CCP. Thank you for watching. I'm Ali. I'll see you next time.